Hey guys, it's Core Ross and welcome to Bustin' Rainbow Six Siege. Today we're myth busting the brand new Operation Phantom site, and specifically the brand new two operators, Nokk and Warden. So I'm going to start with a funny myth to begin with, then we'll jump into the actual official details, then we'll continue on with serious myths afterwards. But this first myth I think is great because it's simply, can you pick up the hostage when you have Nokk's ability activated? And the answer is yes. Now this is great because obviously it looks like the hostage is actually moving by himself, and I can imagine some background story where he's just had enough and he's going to go kill Fuse and yeah, he's off. I think it looks amazing first of all, and it's just hilarious to see him walking around by himself. Of course Nokk is right there, but I thought that was so funny, so that is confirmed. Now let's jump into all the official data real quick and then we'll get onto the myths. So Nokk can go invisible to cameras, and when she's using her ability she's also quieter. Now she can be countered by Lesion with his goo mines, which cause her to glitch out on the cameras, but also Echo and MOZZIE will actually have the HUD element on their drones, which allows them to at least know that Nokk is in the vicinity. However, those are pretty weak counters, with Nokk actually countering all camera operators, so Echo, MOZZIE, Valkyrie and Maestro, making her very powerful against intel based operators. Now Warden, he is able to see through smoke and mitigate the effects of flashbangs, and Warden can be countered by Thatcher, as his EMP will disable his glasses for a short amount of time. Also Glass is a good counter, as Warden needs to stand still to actually see through smoke, and IQ can detect his gadget when it is on. And Warden is a direct counter to Blitz and Ying, because he can remove all of the flashbang effects on himself. Now that we've gone through all the official information we have on the new operators, let's start digging deeper and looking at some myths. So first up is Mute. Now normally Mute is able to counter pretty much every new operator with a gadget, because the ability manages to completely negate any electronic device within its range. Usually that means at minimum it stops that device being activated within the range of a mute jammer. But here we have 3 mute jammers right in front of us, and Nokk is able to switch on and off her gadget as much as she wants, and of course goes completely invisible to cameras even within the range of those mute jammers. So this is almost one of the first times we've seen this where mute has no effect on the gadget at all, so that is busted. Now this is a really interesting one, as it wasn't given away in the official reveal, and it is the Nokk's ability to counter ALIBI. So as you know, when you go through an ALIBI hologram or you shoot at it, it usually will ping your position, but if Nokk's ability is on, it does not actually do that, which is amazing. Now I will point out, if you shoot at the holograms before your ability is activated, you cannot clear that ping off of your character once it's started. So Nokk's ability has to be activated before you interact with the hologram, but it is confirmed Nokk is a hard counter to ALIBI. Is it possible for Warden to see through smoke with any movement at all? So we're going to look and see what he can do and what he can't do in order to see through smoke. So a smoke grenade right off the bat, if we move left or right, then we can't see. If we spin around, it's no problem, there's not an issue there. If we keep moving as fast as we can in the position, we're okay. But what if we were to really to try and move as slowly as possible? Is it possible for there to be a way where we can actually move through smoke and see, even if it's really slow? Of course, movement is handy to make yourself a slightly harder target. So you can see I really have to move slowly, but I can do it. I can move very, very slowly and still see through the smoke. It's going to take a little bit of time to get used to, but it's certainly doable. So it is plausible. I don't know if it's much more useful than just being still, but any movement is better probably than being completely stationary. So on the live stream with Grief Drums, I betted that we were going to be able to detect the glasses with IQ, and Grief Drums betted that we were going to be able to see the watch, and he was right. So as you can see here, when his device is activated, IQ can detect his watch. This is probably a balancing thing to make sure you can't just headshot him through a wall, but as you can see, it is the actual watch that gets outlined. So Grief Drums was right, that is confirmed. Echo's stun will make Nokk visible to cameras. So as we know, her effect will make this HUD element on Echo's drone, but what if we stun her? Well, nothing. She does get affected by the stun, but it doesn't take her out of her ability, and it doesn't make her visible to cameras. It doesn't even make her glitch, which is pretty crazy. So that's busted. I would have expected it to have switched off the effect, and it doesn't. Maestro's turret makes Nokk visible to cameras. So this is the same kind of test that we just did with Echo, but there's something slightly different about this one which makes it more plausible. So we can see Nokk coming through the barbed wire, which allows us to shoot at her accurately, but it doesn't make her completely visible. The thing is though, unlike an Echo drone, the actual damage from the laser does disrupt the cloak, given that glitch effect when we shoot at her, so we can see her presence there. Now of course it's not very useful, because it's more than likely she's going to shoot the camera and you're not going to be able to tell when she's going to do it, but it is plausible because you can damage her, you can make her slightly visible, so maybe even sometimes blind firing down a corridor might actually be somewhat useful against Nokk with Maestro. Warden counters ZOFIA. Now, the thing about ZOFIA is that our concussion mines do actually blind you for a very short amount of time. As you can see, Warden's ability doesn't take off that shake. But what about the actual blinding that happens for that split second? Well, no, he still gets blinded by what I'm guessing is a flash from ZOFIA's concussion mines, but he isn't able to stop them. So that is busted. Warden does not counter her, and if you want, you can fire concussion mines all you want at Warden. Twitch counters Warden. Now, in a lot of cases, being shot at by Twitch's drone usually will switch off an active ability, like with Vigil's backpack when he's invisible to attackers' drones, but it's not the case with Warden. As you can see, his glasses are not affected by Twitch's drone, which back in the day for most DLCs would have been the case. So it's quite an interesting change there, and certainly that's busted. Now, because of the last season, of course, we now have MOZZIE, which means Twitch drones can also be on the defender's side. So what about Nokk's ability? It works very much like Vigil, and Vigil's ability is disabled by a Twitch drone. So what about Nokk? It should be the same deal, right? Her ability should get switched off by a Twitch drone, but it doesn't. I'm actually quite surprised by this, and I would like it to actually disable it because it would make MOZZIE slightly more of a counter, and of course it's a very hard thing to do. I think it would be skill based if you were able to find and shoot Nokk, but yeah, it's busted. He can't do it. Nokk counters Ela concussion mines. So because of the ALIBI surprise with the holograms, I wondered, does she counter the concussion mines? And no, she does not. There's no other surprise interactions with other defenders, so that is busted. Smoke counters Nokk. So of course when it comes to the last few seconds of a round, you might have a Nokk pushing into the objective and trying to be all stealthy. So does Smoke actually counter her? And of course she'll take damage, and as a result of that damage, she will glitch out on the cams. Now of course if you're not entirely being observant, you might miss that, but it is definitely confirmed that that damage will cause her to glitch out, and then your teammates on cams will be able to see her. Now when it comes to Smoke and Warden, these two can be combined to make a really nice little team, because of course Warden is a niche character. He needs the attackers to bring smokes, flashbangs, a ying or a blitz, and he needs those abilities to actually be used, whereas you can actually team up Smoke and Warden together, and of course Warden can see through that smoke, allowing him to shoot at enemies who cannot see him. So it's a real good combo, and one of probably the most versatile part of this Warden character is being able to team up with Smoke. It's certainly not the best combination of operators, and it's very situational, but at least it's doable, and you don't have to rely on the enemy team to be bringing you what you need as a Warden player. Now let's finish this video off with a little competition between Cav and Nokk, because of course Cav has Silent Step, it makes her quieter, but Nook's ability also makes her quieter as well. But Cav is a 3-speed operator, which makes her quieter as well, and of course Nokk is a 2-speed, which makes her a little bit louder. So which one is actually quieter, or are they both the same? So let's start with a little test side by side, and you guys can decide at home what you think about this. So let's start with Cav and Nokk both standing up and just walking past the camera with their ability off. Now let's walk back with their abilities on. Now let's see crouch walking with the ability off. And crouch walking with the ability on. So let me know in the comments below what you think. Who is the quieter of these two operators, with them both having a very, very similar ability?
Where are they? You can run, but you can't hide.
So there we go, guys. That is a whole bunch of different tests for the brand new operators coming with Phantom Sight. Of course, this was all recorded on the test server, so there's always possibility of changes. As such, I will keep you up to date on anything that does change. But for now, I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if there's anything else you'd like me to test in the comments below, and I will catch you next time.